They are getting millions to take a fucking selfie in a t-shirt and post it, and this is the vapid shit that they are famous for. They're famous for being famous, they're rich for being rich, and you realise that no, it's not just about having a nice life, it's about having anything you want. Even in the middle of a global pandemic, they can still travel, they've got private jets, they can still go to parties, they can buy COVID tests by the million. They can get away with anything. You can't. Do you feel trampled on yet? Do you feel completely trampled on? Because you should. Celebrity COVID parties. I just got done watching the spill video about Team 10 and more notably the Kardashians throwing huge Halloween parties mid-pandemic. It kind of made me want to put on a masquerade mask because Halloween parties for most of us are a long ago dream. But you know what really has me shook about the whole thing? What has me shook is how face-palmingly shook everyone else is about this. That people really seem to think this is a surprise. Let me just explain to you why you're really misdirecting your anger when it comes to this. So, wealth inequality is something that hopefully we're all pretty aware of, and is something that is chronically, horribly noticeable in the US. Now, this is not me as some arsehole British person hating on the US. I freaking love America. I would have moved there years ago if I could have done. London, honestly, in terms of wealth inequality, is just as bad. But America, you have people who live in trailer parks their whole lives, like literally their whole lives. They never even get to live in a house. While at the same time, you have whole regions of California that are dedicated to these multi-million-dollar houses with people who have these lifestyles that are just grotesque beyond belief. You know, private jets taking them everywhere, and all of this in the same country. And the unfortunate fact is that the American dream has been corrupted to enslave American citizens. Now, the American dream is a beautiful idea. It's a beautiful notion that you can come from anything, and if you work at it hard enough, god damn it, you can get anywhere. So America, there is this big obsession with these aspirational figures, with people who are really rich. It doesn't seem to be seen as grotesque and obscene. It's seen as aspirational, because the American dream is that if you work hard enough, you will get there. And obviously, we can see this is a lie, you know, from the people who are working 2, 3, 4 jobs and barely making rent. The average American is only one illness away from homelessness because of the completely messed up lack of universal health care. So when you look at people like the Kardashians, and you think these people, they've had their entire bodies made over surgically. Their entire bodies are plastic. I mean, they barely resemble human beings anymore. Let's face it. You know, Kim Kardashian particularly, you know, and the thing is, people don't, her fans, I'm sorry, just let me have my rant for a minute here, but her fans don't even seem to realise that it's plastic surgery. I saw a picture of her at some award ceremony about a year ago, you know, and she's got this figure like this, and you know, and people are saying, oh, she's been on a diet and she's got a corset on, and that's why, that's all it is. It's like, mate, speaking as a goth, you know, goths tend to know quite a bit about corsets. Also, speaking as someone who had an eating disorder, so know quite a bit about diets. There is no diet nor corset on earth that is going to give you a waist like this while also having these currently on trend elephantine hips that are like out to here. You know, I mean, she wouldn't even, there's no fucking way she could even fit in this camera, because her hips are out here and her waist is in here, and it's a very bizarre, you know, she looks like a sex robot from hell. It's weird. I mean, it's aesthetically pleasing for sure, but it's bloody weird. So anyway, you've got these people who, they have the money to have their entire bodies decked out surgically, while you guys can't even afford a fucking broken arm. And these are the people that you follow on social media, and that's understandable, right? Because when it comes to strangers that we follow on social media, generally we follow them because they have some element of intrigue or something that we don't have that we kind of envy. So for me, I drive a crappy 1.2 litre car, and so I like people who have sexy cars. You know, we like to follow things that we find aspirational and pretty and that we don't see in our normal everyday lives. But how can you then be surprised when they go and do something like this? The whole reason people want to have money so that you can have the things you want in life. So it's 2020 right now. What is the number one thing that people want in life in 2020, particularly at Halloween? They want to go out and celebrate with their friends. This is what we've all been dying to do for months and months and months. If you have the money to go out and to get a load of rapid response COVID test kits so that you can test everybody entering your party and only letting the people who are COVID negative, which is exactly what the Kardashians did. And yeah, there is something slightly morally dubious about diverting the supply of rapid response COVID tests, which are vastly in demand all across the globe. You redirect those and use those for your freaking party. That's a bit morally dubious. But nonetheless, if you can afford to do this, then you can afford to have a safe party in the middle of a pandemic. And I say safe because this is exactly the protocol that happened when I was briefly in hospital over the summer. You know, they did a rapid response COVID test on me. They said, right, stay in there, don't touch anything, don't mingle, don't touch anyone, don't go near anyone until you've got your test. And when my test came back negative, it was like, right, in you go and, you know, you can shake hands, kiss people, do whatever you like. So that's the protocol in hospitals, right? That is clearly a safe protocol to have at a party. I know I can literally hear people's anuses shriveling as I say this, because it's like, I want to detest these people for being unsafe and dangerous and morally dubious. And yeah, it is morally dubious. It is a bad influence because they have a lot of young fans who are going to see this and they're not going to think about, but they could afford having COVID tests. They could afford to make a safe space. All they're seeing is they had a party, I'm going to have a party, and there's that. But obviously, and before we get into this, I'm no fucking fan of the Kardashians. I've never seen a single episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I don't know why they were famous. I don't even know who they were before the show. I don't know why they were on the show. What is all of this about? Why does anyone care? I can't work it out. I can't work out why anyone cares. So I'm not a fan of them. But she did try, whichever bloody Kardashian it was, Kim, Kirsty, Crackhead, I don't know, one of the Kardashians, whichever one it was. Let's just say Kendall, because that's the only name I know. So Kendall, or whoever, did try to minimise the damage to her young fans by saying this is a no social media event. You can take pictures, you can take video, but don't post them on social media. So in my eyes, the blame for this moral dubiousness doesn't really lie with her. It lies with the fact that the people she invited are so vapid and so completely up their own arse and so social media hungry that the very idea of recording videos and pictures and just showing it to friends and keeping it for themselves as a memory of a good night rather than splattering it all over the internet and showing thousands and millions of strangers, that was unthinkable to them. So they had to share it. And to my mind, the blame for this show of like, well, they had a party, why don't we have a party? Let's all break lockdown rules. The blame lies with them more than with Kardashian. They were safe about it. Like, we can't be safe about it. And this is the thing that people think they're butthurt because this went on. This is a moral outrage. How dare you? You're a bad influence. But the fact is, the thing that people should truly be butthurt about here is the fact that these people are so wealthy they can literally do anything. And we're kind of used to this idea. You know, we're used to the idea that we get up in a little little grimy house, maybe with some damp problems, and we go outside and we get in our rattly old car and, you know, drive around, and you maybe go to your 3 or 4 jobs and then sleep in your car, and all the other things that go on. And while you're, you know, sleeping in your car, you're scrolling through Instagram and looking at these people with these houses that are as big as Wales, and you know, oh, Wales the country, not Wales a fish. We're used to the fact that there are people who have crazy things that we cannot even dream of, and who have bank balances that are figures that we just can't even hold in our heads. But we've never, none of us in this generation have ever lived through a severe global pandemic before. So we have never quite witnessed wealth inequality of this severity, where it's like everyone else literally in the entire globe is on some level of lockdown. Everyone else on the planet has basically had to stop living for the entire duration of 2020. And yet, if you're rich enough, you can afford to buy test kits, and you can afford to keep on living as normal and to have huge soirees and to do whatever you like. And that finally makes us uncomfortable. And that could be a great thing. That could be a great thing if you were actually pissed off at the right people. So instead of being pissed off at these influencers who frankly are doing exactly what anyone in their position would do, you know, if you had the means to have a better life, you would, wouldn't you? If you had the means to COVID test people and bring them over, have gatherings, you would, even if they were in the UK and it was like, look, you're going to be fined for doing this. Well, what the fuck is a fine to them? They've got so much money, it doesn't matter. But honestly, if any of us were in their position and we could have had a safe Halloween party, I think we would have done it. So the problem here really is, it is the wealth inequality, and so much of that does have to do with the healthcare system. I literally didn't even find out until I was 16 years old that not everyone in the world had universal healthcare. Like, I grew up, you know, in England, and you get sick, you have an accident, you break a bone, whatever, you go to hospital, they take care of you, you go home, that's the end of the matter. I thought that was how it was for everyone in the world, certainly everyone in developed countries. So when I found out that America, of all places, you know, the land of promise, this wealthy, shiny, beautiful nation where everyone's gorgeous and shiny and they're all in the movies and blah, 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 you can't even break your arm and afford it in America, that something happens to you and it can literally be like, no, sorry, mate, I know you're dying in the gutter, but what's your credit card balance? No, you can't afford it. Oh, fuck off then. I was 16 before I even found out that was a thing. I'm now 35 and it still blows my mind. You get something like cancer, and people get so much cancer. Cancer is all over the place. Getting cancer is very likely to happen to a lot of you. You get cancer, and well, we've all seen Breaking Bad and the figures that he was quoted for cancer treatment, and that's something that really no household besides the uber wealthy can afford. That is absolutely tragic. And more than that, the normalization of overworking yourself, of working yourself into the ground. You know, Americans, the culture there is that overtime is not something that you put in now and then because it's really needed, because the company really needs you to push harder. Overtime is something that is expected constantly. The amount of holiday time given to Americans is pitiful. It's just crazy. Unfortunately, this competitive, patriotic, hard-working culture that America has been used to freaking enslave you. You know, it really shows when there is this pandemic and suddenly you realise you're not just watching wealthy people have these lovely lives and, oh, well, you know, they seem like nice people. Why shouldn't they have nice lives? If I work hard enough, I'll have a nice life too. And you realise that, no, it's not just about having a nice life. It's about having anything you want. Even in the middle of a global pandemic, these people can have anything they want. They can still travel. They've got private jets. They can still go to parties. They can buy COVID tests by the million. They can get away with anything. You can't. Do you feel trampled on yet? Do you feel completely trampled on by your country and your government and the system there? Because you should. And that really is where to aim your rage. But you know, when it comes to these influencers, bear in mind the amount of money that is coming to them, that literally it's what, $1 million or more per Instagram post that they're getting. Everything you see from them is completely sponsored content, and they are getting millions to take a fucking selfie in a t-shirt and post it. And this is the vapid shit that they are famous for. They're famous for being famous, they're rich for being rich. They have no talent or worth to give to the world whatsoever. It's not like when you're following maybe a lead singer or something on Instagram and you think, you know, maybe you don't think they're the most good looking person in the world, maybe they don't take the best pictures, maybe you don't think their life is particularly interesting, but you're still intrigued because their lyrics really touch your heart, their songs really touch your heart, they really speak to you, and you want to know, who is this person behind this genius? Like, who is this mastermind who can create these songs that are so universal and that so capture experiences? It's just not fucking that with the Kardashians. It's just wow, look at the shit they've got. Wow, look at their big fat fake lips and their face-tuned faces. And I don't really feel you should be surprised when they do something like this, you know. Sorry, we're not relatable. We haven't been relatable in about a decade. We're not relatable. We live a life that you guys can't even imagine. Therefore, our party cannot be compared to your parties. Don't take it as an example. I'm sorry, we are multi-billionaires. We can do whatever we like. That's what they should have said, because that's the truth of it. But they don't want to do that. They're still clinging by their fingernails to their relatability. Which in the first place, you know, anything you even liked about these characters, and I do say characters because they are characters. That's what they are in this reality TV show. Anyone in a reality TV show is a character. It's the writers, the editors, the scripters who do this, and not just the scripted scenes. So seriously, watch some videos by people who have been on reality TV shows or who've applied for things like America's Top Model. They edit and edit and edit, and seriously, I don't think you can understand the power of editing until you've done something like YouTube yourself or been on a reality TV show yourself. But I mean, even just doing YouTube, I know for a fact that videos I've had that have been well received, if I had have edited them differently, they would have been horribly received, because the full cut, the full raw cut, you just go off on one. You know, you just go off on one, you rant, you bitch, you end up accidentally misgendering people, you do all of these things, and you just edit that shit out afterwards. You edit it out and you can make yourself sound lovely, or you can make yourself sound like a complete asshole, depending on the editing. And so this is what they do with reality TV shows. So these people that you think you know that are relatable, they're not people, they're characters, just as much as characters in any other drama. They're not relatable. They haven't been relatable for years, and yet they cling to it because it's you know, it's their brand. Their brand is we're the girls next door. We are the American dream. You know, we were the girls next door, and now look at where we are. You know, we look like weird sex robots, and we get paid $1 million for taking a quick selfie in a shit t-shirt. That's where we're at. We are the American dream. They're not, because the American dream is that it can happen for anyone, and it doesn't. It happens for this tiny percentage of people, while the rest of you are just getting poorer and poorer and poorer, particularly in this pandemic. So I suppose that's the thing that is really grotesque, is the amount of people who've lost their jobs, lost their livelihoods, are struggling to keep things together, mental health-wise, health-wise, business-wise at the moment, while the uber rich are still, you know, doing whatever they like, and are doing whatever they like even more than ever before with no worries whatsoever. That is the really disgusting thing. But to be surprised, shook, whatever, that they did these things is really pointing the finger in the wrong direction. That's the main thing I wanted to say. But if you have more to add, please leave it below. Give me your take. And I'm gonna piss off now because this is long. Bye bye.